My few minutes are going to be totally dedicated to the non-issues, non-ideas, something which is not even in the radar of the development world. Also, it is dedicated to something where we say that anything can actually create a huge enterprise if we understand the need of it. This particular story is a story of cloth, your old cloth. A very mundane issue, a non-subject, a non-idea, because the moment you talk about three basic needs of humankind, you say roti, kapda, makan, which is food, cloth, and shelter. But when you talk about the development issues to work on, you have some 150 issues from domestic violence to global warming. You will never find clothing written as a subject. So the obvious question was that if it is a basic need, why do you need disaster to support people with clothing? Why the basic need has actually become a disaster relief material. The fact remains that in disaster, people don't need much clothing because you can only wear one at a time. Second pair you have to store. First thing which a disaster hit person loses is the storage capacity. So even the second pair of cloth is a burden. If earthquake is a disaster, if flood is a disaster, how come winters are not a disaster? Why don't we have figures of people all across the globe where people die or suffer due to lack of clothing? The fact also remains that in earthquake, the shake kills people. In flood or now tsunami, the force, the excess of water kills people. In winters, the cold does not kill people. Because if the cold kills people, even I would have died. I survived, someone else died on the road. It is not the cold, but the lack of clothing. So it's a highly, highly preventable death, and it is in thousands, despite the fact that we have never recorded it. I'll just give you one incident to tell you the gravity of the issue. 91, 92, I had done my mass communications, and I was, as a new journalist, roaming around on the old roads of Old Delhi. Suddenly, I see a rickshaw on which, in Hindi, it was written, Lavaris Last Hone Wala, which means a person who picks up unclaimed dead bodies. A very strange profession. Followed him. Spent about a week with him outside a LNJP, outside a hospital in Delhi. Very strange profession because the person used to get news from all across that there is a dead body lying. It's a huge city of homeless people also. And a lot of people die due to various reasons. The child playing in the park, the morning walker, the Delhi police will come to this man, will inform him that there is this body. Habib, with his blind wife, Amna Begum, would go pick up the dead body, will get 20 rupees and 2 meters of white cloth. When I was doing a story on him, when I was spending time with him, two statements came up. Habib said that in winters his work goes up. Many times he has so much of work that he cannot handle it. In the range of 3 to 4 kilometers where his rickshaw used to go, every 24 hours, Habib used to pick up 10 to 12 dead bodies. In the summers, the average used to be 4 to 5. Thus my daughter, he had the same age group daughter, Kaniz Bano, who gave the most shocking statement by saying, when I feel cold, I hug the dead body and sleep. It does not trouble me. It does not turn around. A few kilometers away from that girl, people like us stay, who wait for a disaster to support people. The fact remains that lack of cloth, lack of a piece of woolen is a good enough disaster in their life. That too, outside a hospital in the capital of our country, which is fast growing, if a child is forced to sleep with a dead body, what about the remaining part of the country? What about the remaining part of the world? Just because it has never been an issue, it has never been a subject. And we have always taken it for granted. So I'm just giving you some example of absolutely ignored issue of cloth. The second most important subject, again related to cloth. A few years later, we said that every single woman needs a piece of cloth. Very taboo subject. but during menses, during period, which is a biological happening. In the world where you do not have enough to cover yourself, from where and how you bring the piece of cloth was an issue. Went on Google, thinking Google is God and Google can inform anything. You type sanitary pad, sanitary napkin, just in 2004, 2005, you find absolutely fantastic tampons and cups from all across the world. Not even a single major research in a developing nation. No problem statement, no solution. We started traveling across the country to understand. And we found that the women out there use the dirtiest piece of cloth because for them it's a synonym of dirt. They wash it, they cannot dry it in sunlight because of obvious reasons. If you have 2 to 3 members in the family, their cycles are different, they are sharing the same piece of cloth. Not only within the family, but outside the family with the neighbors also, this piece of cloth is shared. Then we found that millions of women, not only in India, but in large part of Asia and Africa, are actually using things like sand, ash, jute bags, rice husk, grass, newspaper, old sanitary pad to plastic sheet. Anything which can stop, which can absorb, is used as a sanitary pad. We found cases where a lady used a piece of blouse which had a hook, she died of tetanus. We found a case where a centipede entered and the lady died. And we found that a large number of uterus removal exactly at the childbearing age happens because you do not have that particular piece of cloth, which is now called sanitary pad. So this is the issue. This is the idea. We just started working on it. Before I show you how this piece of cloth travels and what wonders this piece of cloth can really do, one thing which was very important for us to reposition the entire issue, apart from bringing it in the list of issues, where we said that whenever you say that I want to donate cloth, that's actually absolutely wrong and overstatement, because the fact remains you never donate, you actually discard. Let us be thankful to the people who are using our second-hand used material. 0.85 kilometer of road, 2,000 people got together, repaired it, didn't get any monetary reward, but got cloth, utensil, footwear as their reward. Whatever picture you see here, this is basically about a parallel currency, which is not the monetary currency, which is the old material collected by us, and then it actually roams around as a currency where people work for the local development issues and instead of money receive this material. From a well to about 240 feet by 6 feet long bridge at a cost of about 2,250 rupees on the spot what we spent apart from logistics cost. Another bridge which is about 800 feet long, to cleaning the pond, because you have schemes to make new ponds, you have no scheme to clean the pond. That's where the local people decide what is to be done, and then they are rewarded. To a large number of roads across the country, and the school structure and library. 100% done with the local wisdom, local resources, by the people, decided by the people. A small piece of cloth, which is uniform from an urban school, can actually take care of a lot on the dignity part of the small children. Because the fact also remains, many of us often talk about education, and we talk about education policy, we talk about teacher-student ratio, infrastructure, without understanding that out of 180, 200 days of a government school, 60 to 70 days, a girl does not go to the school because she does not have a small piece of cloth, which is called sanitary pad. So what hampers education? The education policy or a small, very small material need just because we ignored it? This is called My Pad, which is started, and this is literally nothing. I just wanted to show it to you, a piece of cloth just folded like this. You spend millions in teaching women and people about safe motherhood, safe childhood, in workshops, in seminars, in brochure, without understanding that the fact remains that this is actually not a women issue, this is a human issue. If your uterus is removed exactly at the childbearing age, it is a humanity which is affected. If the health of a woman is affected just because of this piece of cloth, it is a humanity which is affected. A small piece of cloth from urban India, which is oversized, becomes the raw material for the stitching center, and so many stitching centers comes up. Same small piece of cloth, which is a dirty piece of cloth, which is non-usable, can actually become a quilt and also become a major income generation activity in the villages. And the same piece of cloth which you wore in your marriage can actually become a big resource for someone who wants to get married in the village India right now. A small piece of cloth brings people together, not only in the cities, but also in the villages. The small piece of cloth is a tool for social change. It focuses on the ignored basic need. It actually fills up urban-rural divide. It's a large-scale civic participation which we bring in with this. It frees up the local and meager resources of people. It tells people what are their basic rights. And it actually dignifies the entire act of giving and receiving. There is no donor, there is no beneficiary out here. And largely, it tells the people that what potential they have. If you can make a bridge yourself, if you can dig a well yourself, if you can repair a road yourself, you will never be waiting for the government, for the NGOs, for the corporate sector to come. You will take initiative, and that initiative will be supported by other people. A very normal picture. This naked kid does not even bother us because we have accepted the status quo. When we talk about this particular kid, we do not have anything positive to say. We talk about poverty. We talk about cold. We talk about hunger. We talk about every single negative thing. We go with 2 drops of pulse polio and put it in his mouth. We feed him midday meal. We educate him, but we never question that why this kid does not look like my kid. Why do we have double standards where we want to live and we want them to survive? A small piece of cloth changes the entire body language, changes the entire perspective. If you go to a village, you might not even go to this person. You will always think that he does not have any wisdom. Until unless you lose your way, you lost your way, you will never even go to him to ask for the route. Suddenly he becomes kaka. He becomes an experienced farmer. He becomes a small landowner. A piece of cloth also, in your opinion, brings a lot of wisdom in it. This person is a drunkard. This person takes all kinds of drugs. He's a laborer. He's a poor man. The fact remains that he is a powerful youth of this country. A small piece of cloth changes the life. And the fact also remains that this entire story of cloth is not just about a basic need. It's about dignity. It's about genesis of parallel economy, which is not cash-based, which is trash-based. Thank you very much.